know who produced this track?
Backstreet Boys.
We had Serge Tankian from System of a Down produce this.
What?
Wow. I'm really slumming it these days.
Wow.
We did actually I pulled some samples from Serge Tankian from a pack.
I got this from Dwayne The Rock Johnson right outside on the way in.
We must not have
He was like, hey, try this.
I don't remember this.
He was like, hey, I know you're my best friend. Try my drink on TV.
Dwayne.
Right.
We appreciate Dwayne Johnson for sponsoring
Johnson.
the show for us today.
Yeah,
Thank you for getting Zoa right up on the show.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't even think Dwayne would fit in here with my little 6-foot door. That would be.
That's why he was outside when he gave me this drink.
I see.
He was like, I can't.
He didn't even come into the show.
I can't fit through this little door, but I want you to drink my drink online because we're best friends.
Shit. People listen to this shit, huh?
People listen to this shit, man.
I mean, you did.
Right. The whole hour and a half. I listened to the whole damn thing.
If you listened
Loved
for an
it.
hour and 42 minutes, whatever we went, shouts to you. Props
Dude,
to
I
you.
thought there might actually be more. I was waiting for the next part to kick in.
There's
I was shit, it's over.
There'll be a director's cut.
Right. My daughter had a birthday. I sold my car in the meantime. I was like, I guess it's over.
Yeah, I'm going to pick out my favorite rocking chair.
Right.
A good spot in the sun to grow old.
Right.
Oh, man. Welcome to the Pushback podcast, guys. We are here on episode 2. We got the applause.
That's
we got
awesome.
the cans on today so we don't interrupt each other as much. We can all hear each other very loud and clear. We also have a few less drinks, so maybe that'll keep us on.
Actually, we just hit them down below.
Yeah, right. You don't see the drink swap happening.
It was pretty funny in the first one. You can see them all lined up under the thing.
Just the full line of
It
drinks
just
up
got
here.
progressively worse.
Yeah. Well, an hour and a half. You guys need a case apiece for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep it going. We had a pee break in there and everything, but we got some glitches fixed. I feel like we had a really good response as far as people watching the podcast, which I was crazy surprised about. And that's the first thing I wanted to start out to and mention how really cool it is for a premiere podcast like this to come out over some niche, really expensive toy that we have. We had almost 300 views on YouTube, and we had over 50 unique downloads for the podcast across platforms, iTunes, Spotify, for a 2-hour show about some really expensive shows. I think that's a huge success.
Huge.
We were shout out by, we have feedback, comments, shout out from the Float Life, Armadillos, Carve Creative, Flight Fins, thank you, Ori, the International Onewheel Association, Badger Your One Wheel, Get Wet, and much more. I feel like I'm reading at that point.
So, we're still waiting for the shout out from Tyler, the inventor of Onewheel.
Yeah, right. Tyler, can you hit us up and let us know when you want to come on the show?
Yeah, Trevor.
And bring a BMS for my board.
Yeah, bring a BMS. Shit. I almost feel like I don't want, I feel like that would be like bringing the parents on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you had
I'm definitely going to say his name wrong every single time we have
Tyler.
a show. Yeah.
Tyler is Kyle.
We should actually fact check Christian right off the bat.
We should.
That's true.
Not a bad idea.
There are a few corrections from
Let's just start.
from episode
let's just
1.
Start with that right
Yeah.
now.
Boo Christian. Coach Christian out here had no idea what he was doing.
Well, so it turns out. Well, should I start with you?
No. Start with your birthday because you screwed that shit up.
In episode 1, I said I was turning 37. My lovely wife Rachel watched the episode all the way through, and she said, "You're not turning 37. You're turning 36." So I got an extra year of life.
Over from freak, go ahead. I got an extra year.
And it turns out that you are.
Extra year. Everybody's getting a car.
Yeah, you are not 47. I'm sorry, you're 46.
46
for now.
46.
Right.
So
not a million years. He's not a dinosaur. All right.
Right.
We might have mentioned
that
my
seems
bad.
to be a Christian thing about age and
Just
As
because he's the oldest in the
grandpa. I get a lot of grandpa compliments from him. Nice slide, grandpa.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, even with all those mistakes, which no one probably knew from the comments and the feedback.
Unless you're the guy with the
Yeah, whose age got screwed up, like me.
Then you knew right off the bat.
I'm furious.
He's angry. We had another old guy though that commented. I was going to talk about this.
Yeah, he was a little upset that we were calling each other old because he's even older.
Dude,
and
I'd like to maybe hang out with that guy.
dude, yeah,
somebody more my age,
still shredding. How old did he say?
68.
That's
I believe is
crazy.
what he said in the YouTube comments. He said he was 68 years
Hell
old. So
yeah,
a 68
dude. Keep it up, man.
Dude, it's
Keep
like
it
seriously.
up.
I was like, whoa, I have a lot of time left as long as I take care of my BMS
Yeah,
chip.
take care of the BMS. Don't shred hard.
Shit, no more slides.
Yeah.
No more slides.
Oh man, but we had some really good feedback come back, and I wanted to come back like before we get into the show with our very special guest today. If you didn't read from the title, our special guest is our living Mid Ohio legend.
Mm-hmm. The
small
one
area, very small area we're talking about.
And it was like in the beginning there was Travis
in Rounsburg with a mic.
Yeah.
Right.
In the beginning. Right. Dude, we are stoked to have you on. Travis White, local legend, local shredder.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Super important to the local scene. That's the...
Oh, good. We got the glitches and everything.
Yeah, I'm getting like pops and stuff.
From which one though?
All of them.
We can shut my mic off if you need to.
That's the kind of shit we'll just cut out.
Yeah,
we'll keep all the other shit, but we'll cut that out.
Fix it in post.
Cut the awkward mics. Well, it's episode 2. We don't have that many people following up on us yet.
Oh, I am here. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Oh my God.
And we're back after some shitty mic problems. Okay. YouTube comments, Instagram questions, and some different things. I want to pull this up real quick because I forgot to pull it up in my photos. We had from our Instagram stories. Let's see if I can pull this up here. And all right. So one of the things that came up, and I'm going to lead off with this question. This came from Chris Hughes, and he asked, why don't people do tech tricks on bigger futures? I think my immediate answer to that is because these boards fucking break.
I feel your pain.
It would not have been my first thought until you guys both broke your boards in the same 24-hour period.
It's bad.
Right, I'm moving back in with my mom.
I think
I can afford to fix
this show's energy is real depressing because we've got $3,400 in Onewheels out of commission.
Yeah, and now I'm just babying mine because
he's like a little slide, just a tiny slide, little bit here and there.
Yep.
Right.
So okay, let's walk through this here, Travis. What's your board went down first?
So what I've learned is if you just have a basic small problem like ghosting, take care of that shit right off the bat. Because who knew that randomly your board will shoot off across the shop backwards, not the way I roll, drill a piece of angle iron, break the bottom of the board, not mess with my aluminum plate for protection, because that thing, you don't want that damaged, drills my battery case, shoves the battery case up into my foot pad, and now I'm riding with a hump. And I thought, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden we tear it apart. I've got a damage to my BMS chip. I can't shut the bitch off. I'm having all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got to hook up from.
Yes, I got to hook up from. I'd like to give a shout out to a couple people. Derek Wilson from Shred, Ohio. Yes. That dude hooked me up with a used chip or a used BMS and shipped it out immediately. And then got a hold of. On the weekend. Yeah, I had to apologize to the dude for Sunday, getting a hold of him like 6 times. He's like, don't even worry about it. It's my job. So shout out to him and his wife. They do a lot of great shit up in Cleveland area.
We've got, we're actually going to be going up there. We're confirming dates right now, but we're going to be doing a show at the Ohio Shred Shop. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he was actually supposed to come down on our first ride event, put on like a whole meet and greet setup, but he got COVID, so no go. And then actually got a hold of Nico from down Dayton, Cincinnati area. Shout out to him. That dude answers all sorts of questions, and I know I bug that guy all the time. So, yeah, very helpful. Both those people helped me out quite a bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, and literally in the same day, so my board, I mean, mine was fine, but when I mentioned it to you, I just got done doing like a nose slide, and then my board starts going, like that noise when you go from like front to back, that engage noise.
Like you have loose hub bolts, but even worse.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. But like, that noise when your motor initially engages, it was just like doing that the whole time. And then I got home and I'm like, something just feels weird. I was riding it yesterday. And then I realized, I'm like, as I keep going, finally it starts stop. Like it will not engage. If I get it to go, I can get it moving, but like, I'm not going to ride over 7 miles an hour with like the chance of that thing cutting out.
Man, that's what they say about those Hall effect sensors, that in the beginning, like if you can push and get moving, your board will pick up speed and take off, but you won't want to be able to take off from a dead stop.
Yeah. So
man,
that just sketches me out. So we're gonna be pulling boards apart. We're gonna be learning to fix them up. And shout out Derek and shout out Josh Haley too. He's a Fiction Factory Board Works. He used to be in the Cincy area.
Nice.
And he's been texting me, helping me out. So seriously, rep all of your SLS guys. The Stoke Life Service dudes. They know their stuff. So if you haven't got a board fixed from them before,
these guys answer questions on Sundays. So make sure you call them. Hit them up, man. Sunday, early morning, hit them up.
Yep. Swing by their house.
Swing by their, stop
Absolutely.
by for lunch.
Upcoming guests that we have coming up in the works. I wanted to shout these people out too. Just, the response that we had from a premiere episode, just hanging out, drinking beer, talking about Onewheels it just kind of blew my mind. So some people we got coming up on the show. So, we've got Jamie Bryant. She placed 3rd place Race for the Rail. Float Life sponsor rider. She's amazing down in Cincy, so we're excited. She's going to be an in-person person coming up here. We're going to get to talk with her. Cameron, Josh, and Henry, they're all going to be coming up. They have a new mini documentary called The Float Effect. It's a mini docu-series. It looks like it's really well done. I'm stoked to have those guys come on and talk. We've got Josh from Oak City Shred Fest, which
super cool.
Yeah,
Excited
we're going to be
for that.
talking about that. And he'll be talking about the whole Oak City Shred Fest in North Carolina, what they got going on. Matthew Schumacher, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Pray nosedives on me if I pronounce it wrong. He's the inventor of the tech rails. You sent me a picture of those.
Nice.
The adjustable rails, and he's partnered with guys like the Kill Guards, I believe they are. Looks like the crazy suspension system. So he
He's got all sorts of products.
Yeah,
from what I saw,
he invented something for Tesla too. I don't know what that is, but it'd be interesting to talk with him on the show what that's about. And then we've got Robert Allen from Badger Wheel. He's going to get on the show.
Nice.
I'm really, really pumped to talk with him about Badger Sense.
I will need that shit after I broke my battery case.
Christian, have you seen Battery Sense?
No.
Or Badger Sense?
No.
So Badger Sense is this, he developed it and it gives you nosedives warnings, like when you're about to near the nosedive.
Oh, nice.
So you can be like working through pushback, working through the speed of things.
I thought that's usually when you just keep one person out in front of you, and when he nosedives, you've got awareness that you're next.
Back, yeah.
Back her off.
That's why I follow you everywhere.
Always go second.
But all of that, step aside, like we're just we're grateful and humbled. Like just a couple dudes here hanging out, talking about the Onewheels, and we're
Huge
excited
response.
to keep bringing. Yeah. I'm excited to bring a lot more episodes, and hopefully I'll just keep listening. Otherwise, we'll just be chilling here, drinking beer, and talking about Onewheels by ourselves.
It was pretty fun. We're trying to keep the energy up tonight, but we've all just worked all day. So
yeah, it's a Monday. Yeah. We've worked it out, and Ori's not here, man.
Yeah, he's a little bit of the
Ori bounce. We don't got the stove.
He's got the sickness.
Yeah, he just stokes the fire a little bit.
Oh, we're so wish we could just cue down with the sickness right here, but it's probably
as your producer.
Am I using his mic by chance? I'd like to get this wiped off.
He is. He's doing it.
All sanitary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, or he's going to be probably coming back on pretty regularly. He's just feeling a little under the weather tonight.
Yeah. Well, and a little update for like the show. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think, scheduling 5 to 7 people at once, if we're talking guests or we're doing all this different stuff to get everyone all in sync at once, I think what we're going to do is shift it to try and do a special guest, more of a bi-weekly, maybe 2 a month or so like that. And then we're going to do more of like a pushback experience show where we're just going to talk some Onewheel stuff, maybe do some trick discussion. We'll pull it up, watch the tricks and talk about it, see what we think. Upcoming riders, maybe even get with people like International Onewheel Association, talk about Onewheel news. Just whatever we can talk about in the scene. I think it'd be really cool to kind of keep people up to date or just get the feedback and answer questions from the community. Those are all kind of the things I think that's going to be.
It should be a good time.
Yep, it'd be cool stuff. But today we've got Travis White, and we're going to talk about Travis's story. So, Travis, how'd you get started in Onewheel?
Oh, my story probably, I would say, maybe 2-3 years ago. So up at the lake was watching. There's always the wakeboarder riders, and they always have the longboards, which have the controllers in their hands, the e-skates, whatever you want to call it. So never really got into that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden, this one dude's ripping down this sidewalk away from the group. And I know the section of sidewalk he's going through, there's probably 20 different potholes in this thing. It's just falling apart. It's sketchy on a golf cart. This dude drills it at about, I'd say 12 to 14 miles an hour, just the board's chattering underneath his feet, comes through it, and I'm like, shit, I got to get one of those for sure. So my birthday was coming up, and my wife and my daughter, you can get on Onewheel site and rent a board to see if you like it or not. You pay like $300, and I would say you get it for like 7 days. And if you like it, you pay the rest. If you don't like it, you ship it back. So I got it for 7 days. And I would say rent right off the bat, did I know I want to buy it? But I would say after about 2 or 3 minutes, I wanted to buy it. So, just rode the board right away and bought it right off the bat and never looked back. That thing has been put on some headphones or some earbuds and just go out and you just forget all about all day shit that happens at work.
Yeah. Dude, it is the forget machine. Like you just get on thing and you're just...
Yes, and now that my wife has an e-bike, you kind of bring a little bit of the headache with you, but I like riding with it. The good thing is I don't think she watches the podcast, but we could edit that shit out.
This will be the one that she watches.
We could edit that shit out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to
clip that.
Yep.
Can I just say one thing for context? People in Ohio, when they say the lake, up at the lake, they're talking about Lake Erie.
Yeah. Got it.
It's that's like
the salt life.
Yeah, salt life.
We can bring that back up on the show. The salt life, right?
Yeah.
All these Lake Erie.
I've never seen so many T-shirts that say salt life
at
up at a freshwater
lake. Yeah, but so in Ohio, if we say up at the lake or at the lake, there's there are lots of little lakes, but that's what everybody's referring to.
Just where we get our drinking water.
The mud hole, Lake Erie. So.
You can fish for tires and
yeah.
Take a charter out for the day.
Right. So basically, that's my story with the board.
What year is this? What?
I got to think it was 2 to 3 years ago, something like that. Yeah,
right before your 52nd birthday.
Check. We should check that.
Fact check.
We'll have to get your wife to watch the show.
Right. I do have a shirt made from my daughter that says "commit or bust a hip," and it's got a guy with a walker on the back. I just didn't wear it today, damn it.
You should have.
No shit, but I didn't want to give Christian the satisfaction.
Yep.
So all right, so a couple years ago, you got your first board, right? And
And at that point, not very many people had them in Ashland because Ashland's a small town, maybe 40,000 people, 20,000 people. So, you just didn't have anybody else to ride with. Maybe just 1 or 2 were out there, but nobody together in a group.
Right. No one's really pushing it. Yeah, right. Anything. Like I had seen, if I saw somebody in Ashland with one, because I'd wanted one for the longest time, I was like, I'm about to pull over and stop and talk to this person.
Which we still try to do that.
Yeah, right.
Pull over and make them uncomfortable and say, you got to ride with us.
Did you make that thing?
Yeah. And then ask them if you made it. Check.
Well, it was funny because, as soon as I ordered mine, 2 days later, I run into you, and I think it was Adam.
No shit. Taylor stocked me right off the bat.
I did. I saw you. Yeah. I saw you guys walk in with the XRs, and I was like, I just got the pint, and I'm super excited for it. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
2 days after I ordered the thing.
Right. That's when COVID wasn't bad, and he was right up in my grill. But he was so excited, and I was excited. We were excited. It was a coffee shop, and people were uncomfortable. If I remember.
It's funny because
what's going on over there?
There's a lot of excitement about Onewheels.
My friends were like, I can't believe you just accosted that guy. I'm like, I didn't accost him.
I can't believe you went up to that old man.
He's texting me. He's like, dude, I just met this guy. He's got trails and all this stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. Done. I'll grab my Onewheel.
Man, it took a while though to finally meet you guys and ride and get out there. Yeah.
When I finally came out, When I finally came out to ride his trails for the first time, I was like, this is amazing, and nobody's been out here. And he's like, well, Taylor's been out here, and I was like, who the fuck is Taylor?
It is so.
I had never met you, and it was still a long because I had known you.
Right.
Our professional paths have crossed several times. And I had met you one wheeling, and we had, been doing the thing, and I tried and he was like, well, there's one guy named Taylor. He's friends with your buddy. I was like, who? There's your buddy, Caleb. And I was like, oh, I still don't know him,
Yeah, right.
We never all rode together at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cool. And so, if you're talking a couple years ago too, I'm curious, were you, because I want to talk about the trails, and that's something definitely in the show today, but were you thinking of just riding your property at that point, or like were you just doing town rides, or like?
So yeah, nothing actually out at the property. I strictly rode in town up at the lake. The only reason I started building trails out on the property is that online I read where a couple people on Onewheels were getting kicked out of park districts. Or there was a problem not to go into a park district until they could resolve it because you weren't allowed to be in there, and several people that weren't messing around got bumped out of there. And I thought, how shitty that would be to lose a good spot to ride.
Right.
Because shit, it could happen if you're at the campus or whatever and you decide you want to go through the flower beds and tear shit up. You might ruin it for everybody. You never know how that works.
Yeah.
So I thought, man, I'm going to build some trails that we'll never get kicked out of. And yeah, so that's how it started.
Gotcha. That's the start of it too. So the, like your property when you first started building it too, and it's like got a gravel base and everything down it.
Yeah, it's an old gravel pit.
Okay, gotcha. So, which is almost like the perfect opportunity to like. How can I start building some stuff?
Yeah, like the big man upstairs just put sweet shit all over, and all I have to do is just like put this little deer trail. I'm just going to widen it out, and boom, it's just fantastic.
It's a big trail. Yeah,
it stays weirdly dry too. I mean, it's obviously when it's raining, it's wet, but
you're right.
That gravel just sucks all the water. So
when everybody else says you can't ride on a trail, I say come out to my place because they're already dry.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So how did you start thinking of like the features and like for no one, like obviously, I say for anyone, any of you haven't been to Travis's trails because he's had millions of people out there at this point.
Everybody except for the 14 people that came out.
Right.
Well, the rest of you.
He's got like this 2 mile, what do you say, probably about 2 mile stretch?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I think we have a legitimate 2 miles of trails. We got the big section in the woods, which is, not a lot of features. There's hills and there's a bunch of corners and some log jumps, but there's nothing real technical. So lots of speed, just a good time out there. Some guys actually prefer that section.
Yeah. And
I would say that's at least almost a mile of trails. And then we have what I consider more like a terrain park behind the shop. That's my favorite section. I mean, that's got at least a mile worth of trails, but the bad thing is we don't always hit them.
Yeah.
Because we're just so into one area that we just circle right back.
The bowl.
So what we figured out how to do is make all these little circles connect into a whole bunch of systems. So you get out of one bowl that you're chasing your buddy through, and then you ride over this great big hill and down. Next thing you know, you're into a whole nother section that you love, and then you're trying to figure out how to get right back into it and spin into it, and we just keep making trails to circle back.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's so much fun. And like I'm real curious too, like, all right, you got this gravel path. You're starting to build stuff out, right? How do you, like, where did you even start to think of this, like the shit that you would start to build into it?
That's tough because literally I don't have any skateboard background at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And Onewheel's trail riding is, if you're going to do it around here, you're going to do it in a park district. So there's really no features.
Yeah.
You can find some cool trails and small little bridges. But then once we realized the capability of our boards, then we knew we could push the limit and start incorporating some hills. And then Ori shows up and ruins all your shit because what you thought was a 6 foot tall, really hill maxing out your board, you realize that dude's going to ride it backwards and make you look like a little bitch. And then you're going to have to build a lot more stuff because shit just looks too easy anymore.
Yeah, right.
So, it's really transformed, based off of riders. That's for sure.
That one section, there's like a little hip, like a natural hip, that goes over some, there's like like an embankment, right?
Yeah.
And then like a hump. And it's really fun to go up and try to get like high up on the hill and like kind of carving this hill. But then Ori and Jake, that's his name, right?
Yeah, it's Jake.
Yeah.
Jake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jake.
So Jake, I only met him once. He's a cool guy, but there's like, let's hit this hip, and they get like 5 feet of air on it, and like land. I'm like, well, I guess I have to do that now. Like, I didn't even think of it.
There's one section that I know one of you guys hate it because there's 2 trees and it's always so sketchy when you go over the hump.
I'm terrified of that section.
And literally Ori and Jake decided, oh shit, this is going to make a great jump because there's 2 trees and a tree right beyond it. If we don't hit those, it's going to shoot us perfect. And those guys were drilling, I don't know, I bet they were 2 feet up in the air, 4 feet length. I mean, they were killing it. Yeah.
Dude, yeah,
that's impressive.
That's so crazy. Well, how, like, I don't want to transition like crazy out of the trails yet, but like you probably had some ideas too from like meeting Nico. Like, how'd you get in touch with the dudes in Cincy?
All right, so since in the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot of riders in this area. Wintertime, you didn't want to give up riding, and I hadn't built any stuff in the shop yet to really ride on. So I started getting online, and I found out where those guys were riding down at Mike's Bike Park, I think, and down in Cincinnati, Dayton area. And Nico was kind of putting on most of the group rides in that area. So I just tagged in, started talking to that kid, and he was just instrumental, as in, what to expect, what to plan on. He'd be happy if I came down and rode. And so literally I packed my wife up in the vehicle. Her and I rode 3 miles down to ride with these guys. And before we ever left, I decided I was going to build a couple ramps in the shop. That way this old cat could ride with some of those young dudes and still be able to do most of the stuff they did. And so after a couple of those rollers that I made in the shop, man, everything else just transitioned well at that park, and I had a blast. Yeah. Nico introduced me to the rest of the guys, and it was, it just, it's a nice sport where everybody's friendly. Everybody's trying to help the next person.
Yeah.
Where if I showed up to a skate park, you may not want me messing up your ride, being out there riding. So, no, These guys were super accommodating.
Yeah, there's no skater scooter beef. You find another one.
Yeah, nobody. When you snake lines, it's usually just all in good fun.
Yeah, right. Shit, sorry, I didn't see you there, bro.
You just said 3 miles, but he meant 3 hours.
Yeah,
sorry,
like 3 hours.
3 hours. We can change that.
Sorry,
right?
dude. This drink is.
Dude, you got the rock over there?
Yeah, dude.
He's got a Zilla. Dwayne Johnson sponsored.
I might have to chill out on this. He didn't officially sponsor it, but he did give it to me outside.
I saw it happen.
I mean, he was like, "Here, I'm not going to give you an official sponsorship. But
Yeah, that's right.
I want you to drink this."
Dwayne was just hanging out.
Yeah.
So when you started building into you got really cool different berm sections, right? And you got the teeter totter thing. You're just starting to build these crazy concoctions, right? Was it just was it in your brain inspired, or did you were you watching videos at that point, seeing some of the guys do stuff at their other trails, or online stuff? How are you starting to come up with these things? We're like, all right, let's get this a little more advanced.
Man, I bet if you looked at my phone, dude, I've searched the internet for so many riding, just clips that you could watch, any feature that I could possibly build. And, you see these guys you look up to from Float Life and all that, and all the shit that they nail on trails. And you're thinking, man, I've got all the terrain. Why don't I start adding stuff in here? And eventually I'll get the technique down that I can actually do it. So, I'd see a teeter-totter online and those guys drilling it, and then add that one day. And the next day you'd see a bridge and you'd say, yeah, shit, we need a bridge over this ravine. And it just started adding up. And next thing you know, everything kind of fell together back there. Most of the trails started to intersect. And I think as we rode it more, like me and Christian, and I know when you came out, Caleb, and we rode it all together, and Taylor, you stand back and you look at it, and all of a sudden someone just sees a good transition line, and you're like, shit, if we just build this right here, we could probably loop over into that section. Before you know it, this stuff
right.
just it becomes kind of easy at one point.
It definitely got different too when I came out, because all these guys are goofy riders, so they're hitting everything the exact opposite I am. And I'm like, I'm starting to get real good at switch because I'm riding with all these lefties.
Right. There's a lot of normal people.
Lefties. It's your right foot.
Right. Whatever. I call these goofy people.
I'm not sure why we're always referred to as goofy. Almost everybody I know is goofy footed. Except for you and Ori.
Me and Ori
And I think.
Why do they call it reg then?
I think that. I don't know. They must do it different on the West Coast.
The first guy who probably invented it
he's
was
like,
regular.
this is regular.
This is regular.
I'm curious now.
That's
Leave
goofy.
it, leave it in the comments. Regular. I'm curious how many of you one-wheel riders, not skaters, or how many one-wheel riders ride with your front foot on the nose or your
other front foot.
Your other front foot. Your left foot or your right foot?
Front foot do you like to ride on the nose?
All right, here come the comment roasters. Fucking please.
Hey.
You suck.
Oh, man.
I got grilled so many times. Well, I'm starting to watch too, all the other people try different features and different stuff. And so, whereas I'm trying to post content for the Pushback Army, I'll try and call these things out. And it's been 2 or 3 times now where I'm getting my DMs roasted with comments, and I'm like, this is not the way I was taught the tricks were. How the fuck is this? So I'm starting to call them trick pricks. I don't know. We'll see if it sticks. I'll make it a sticker so it does stick.
There you go. Dude, I wanted to ask you, I forgot the name of your board that died?
Steezy.
Steezy's the dead one?
Steezy's dead.
What's the pint called?
Shredneck.
Oh yeah, all right. So never mind. But whoever shout out to the it was you Steezy like thing that whoever made.
Yeah. What was I think it was Marta?
I don't mean to whoever you, but
I'll have to pull back up his Instagram. He made a little sticker that was like the pointing thing. It was you Steezy.
I love that thing.
Steezy's sad right now. Steezy is in the hospital. He needs to get repaired.
It was me, Steezy. Dude,
so bad.
Sorry,
but,
I had been thinking of that.
No, that's how cool. So Travis, you're coming in across like a couple years ago. You start riding, like just doing all these things. Was it purely just a stoke of the ride that just like kept you going, or like when? Well, let me put it this way: who was the first person you started riding with?
Man, there was at least 2 boards in Ashland when I first started. I think Kaiser's boy had a board, a pint.
Okay.
And that kid rips. But I never really rode with him much. And then I know my buddy Adam was wanting to get a board and literally just needed a little nudge in the right direction. And that dude loves riding, so he's always a great time to ride with. So it probably was, I don't know, man. I can't remember which exact person. I know Taylor and I rode quite a bit in the early time.
Yeah. Most of town rides, because
but before that, I mean, we're talking like a year ago for us now. You know what I mean? Like, so
there was a lot of just me. Yeah, there was a lot of just me
okay.
riding. Yeah. In fact, that was when Ashland hadn't seen very many boards on the street, and you had a lot of people just looking at you like you're too old to be on that board. Yeah, for real.
But you were only 45.
Right, and I was at the corner of a 55-mile intersection trying to get across.
Crazy. Yeah. I'm afraid to drive across that in my little...
Dude, after I drop you off, it is a sketchy feel to get to my house at 10 o'clock at night.
Riding with no lights on.
Oh, right. I can imagine. Right. Well, you keep your lights off?
Lots of times I do. Hey, listen, if you're on a country road, okay, because I'm a farm boy.
You gotta save battery.
Well, no, I have the battery mod, so that shouldn't be the problem. If you're on a country road and you're on a one-wheel, I think that's just like a target for all these hillbillies with the 4-wheel drive trucks, which I fit in that category, so not calling you out. But I would bump you with my front bumper if you were on a road like that, just to check you. So I like to keep my light off, and there's deer, so I don't ever know what the hell's going on. But there's some sketchy times that I'll just flip the light on, and you're just like, shit, I'm real close to the edge of the road. Back up.
And I'm surrounded by wildlife.
Right. Thought I was further than this, and I'm not.
Dude, I can't imagine going down your long ass driveway without a light on.
Okay, so
that would be creepy as fuck.
If the moon is out, it ain't bad at all. But you're right. There's lots of times I hit that driveway with no light and just try to send it, and I eat shit. I eat a lot of I eat a lot of shit.
I'm more afraid of Bigfoot popping out.
That dude. So
Onewheel. Bigfoot Onewheels. He's good.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Let me take a one wheel. I gotta get going.
He's like, oh,
right.
What's up, dude?
That's why the pictures are always fuzzy, because he's going too fast in the one wheel.
That's funny.
Oh, that's funny.
So lots of solo riding. When did you? All right. So Kaiser, you met Kaiser, and like obviously no one listening fucking know this. I'm like trying to get people who are relating. Like
there's
you
a
got
couple tattoo artists
there
in town. Joe got a board probably about close to the same time as I got one, and about then we got Adam into it. So it starts to form a little circle.
Okay.
And then from there it branches out a little bit, and then we know that Kaiser's got one now. And
so you guys are doing town rides.
So now we start doing town rides together, and and then we came into our first winter, and we thought, well, we got to shut the boards down. Started figuring out places to ride, and we started riding at our shop, and then we rode over at my brother's building, and then at that point, I mean, you just keep adding one or two here or there. Recently, we started that Discord thing, and man, it's easier to get a hold of everybody. We all can pipe in when we want to ride and put together a group session.
Dude, yeah, I knew we were gonna like it.
I love that Discord.
I knew we were gonna like it.
Well, and there's gonna be a pushback
for this.
Yeah, there's gonna be a pushback Discord coming for people to connect into, because I love when we do these when we do the other format of the show and we don't have a guest. I'd love to just have people come in, like community chat, like ask some questions, talk about it, which I will find the other questions that I had from my phone. It's on my agenda. So we'll all talk about these questions.
Check.
But when you're so getting ready to ride, like met Kaiser, met them. When did you meet Christian? Like, how did Christian get in the picture?
Man, dude, that might have been late.
I remember our first ride. So it was Joe, Adam, and you and me.
Yep.
There may have been one other person, but I don't think so. And it was when we just town ride.
Yeah,
dude.
Met up in Joe's.
There's a seminary in our town that has like some pretty neat sidewalks and bumps and stuff. It's a good place to learn how to one wheel because there's some pretty low impact features.
Sweet features, yeah.
And I remember I was like, oh man, this guy's cool. He's got a sweet board. He's like really nice, whatever. And we're like cruising around town and we go hit that spot. And then there's a like back parking lot. And it's like 2 parking lots. One is up a little bit higher, like maybe 4 feet higher than the other one. And there's a little drainage gully or something. Like it's like a little dump out for the water in the top one to roll down to the second one. And it's full of these big rocks.
I'm going to say 1 to 2s. That's what we call them on the farm.
Yeah.
These things are beer can, smallest one.
Beer can rocks.
Yeah.
And they're just like there to prevent erosion or whatever.
Right.
And he just hit it. He was just like, oh, I wonder if I'll, and then like hit the rocks and jumped off I was like, this man's insane. I love this man. This is absolutely insane. Like I was so, and it was like it was probably the first month that I had been riding. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like
when you skated before this too, like, did you ever get the idea to like try a trick on the board or not? Like you were just,
what do you mean?
Like, were you ever like when you first started solo riding or whatever, and like you met him or whatever? Because I feel
you
honestly,
said skated. You mean
like you skated before you rode a one wheel.
Yeah.
Like Travis comes in and he's like, I just rented a
little
one
bit, not much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly, I think for me, I was more about distance. It was more of like that like meditation.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah. When I met Christian, he was on a track to get 600 miles. By a certain date,
and
that was all that kid cared about.
Yeah, I did like 10 miles a night, and but then when I rode his trails, that's when I was like, oh, if you find something to do, you can go a shorter distance and have just as much fun, and like like the balance beam and the teeter totter and all that, and every time that we'd be like, oh, it'd be a sweet idea if we did this, and he'd be like, oh yeah, what if we did this, and we like put our heads together on like a trail feature. I'd be like, that'd be awesome, dude. I can come out tomorrow and start helping you. And he'd be like, all right, cool. And then like 4 hours later, he'd be like, hey, I got the thing done that we were talking about.
I like to pride myself in if you say shit that needs to be done by next weekend, that shit's done.
It's mostly by the next day.
Yes.
He's got it done.
I got a lot of time.
Dude, honestly,
I'm an old dude.
I can remember the first time I met Travis, and he's just out here shoveling away, like it's starting to like sprinkle and rain. He's like, yeah, I gotta get this future ready. I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's committed.
I worked 1 full week in downpouring rain every night after work just so we could have our group ride, so we could get that bowl ready.
I remember.
Holy shit, it downpoured every freaking night.
And it turned out to be the best. It's my favorite spot on that. And
it was ready to ride. At the end of that week, it was ready to ride, and we had rain all week long.
And there's four new like mini features that mostly you put in. And then it started snowing and like, so I haven't even hit them yet.
We have cool shit that we haven't even really hit
tried
yet.
Yes.
We haven't crashed on it yet.
You know what we should do, Taylor? We should bring out the drone, and so we could throw this into an episode sometime.
Yeah.
And we should try while the leaves are down to get an overhead aerial shot of the trails to see like kind of where you're at with them.
Oh. See how far I've infringed on the neighbor's property. Right.
We won't pull the auditor's site. Right. I mean,
no, I'm just going to draw a line. It's fine.
Right.
And look right here, right up next to the.
You just drive a stake in the ground anyways. And
just put a little.
Move that stake to here.
Pink piece of. It's official. It's got a.
This is my
go to Menards and you get one of those little pink ribbons and shit, I own 10 more feet.
It's official.
Who knew?
Who else could buy pink ribbon?
Right. Say I'm wrong.
How are they going to know?
How are they going to know?
They're going to know.
Right now.
They strictly go off those stakes in the ground. They never write this shit down.
So Trav, like,
I'm just laughing. I'm laughing because the three of us are referencing TikToks, and I don't know if he knows.
No,
I don't know.
And that's what I'm laughing about more.
Were we on TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok. I've seen that elsewhere.
I've bought TikToks, but never a TikTok. Dude, I'm a farm boy. You guys speak shit I don't even understand.
But he is on Discord, so
yeah.
If you can, all right, anyone out there, if you can get a farm boy who's 46,
right,
on Discord.
Old dog, new tricks.
That's pretty impressive.
Exactly.
You gotta understand too. This dude is the one who's got us out here sliding on some concrete curbs in the middle. He's a mechanic, right? So like, let's talk a little backstory of like Trav, right? Trav's you're a mechanic,
right?
Been
a
mechanic for how long?
Pretty much since I was out of high school.
Okay,
straight into it.
So working on anything and everything.
Anything and everything. Whatever God puts out in front of the front door, that's what we put in the shop and work on. So, yeah, I've been doing it forever. So I know a lot of people think, oh, you should probably start a board shop. But I kind of have a rule. If it's something I enjoy, I really don't want to work on it. Because all you do is work on broken shit all day long. So there's got to be that you get out of your work zone and you get onto a board with some headphones and you forget about your shit. So if I worked on everybody's board, it'd be like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I have heard about you, because I've only known you, I mean, we became friends in like July. So
questionable friendship.
Yeah, it's
Christian spreads that shit. Yeah, Christian spreads that shit all over. I don't really.
Travis and I are friends.
No, go my good homie.
Travis, my best friend Travis, and then like whenever Travis talks to anyone, he's like, "This guy I know,"
and this
like,
guy that I don't know
this
his
guy
name,
that I accommodate because he needs help.
Check.
Travis is my best friend, and one thing that I've found that people who've known you longer say is that like whenever you get into something, you go super hardcore. And the only evidence that I have of this is when we were sort of elaborating on those bigger trails that you were talking about. And you're like, oh, I found some old jumps from when I used to motocross that I had forgotten about in my woods. Like,
there's just so much shit I just go full bore into. And then my wife just probably looks back and she's like, shit, I won't see him for a couple days.
Yeah.
Because I'll just be out there just going crazy, building shit. But yeah, you're exactly right. I stumbled across a full rhythm section for when I used to race dirt bikes. And I don't know, there was probably at least 3 sets of double doubles straight out of a corner. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's right. That was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they're in the one trail.
Like, let's talk like for the newbie people out here too that like, maybe don't have some background on dirt bike and stuff. Like when you're talking double, like when we're talking berms and we're talking like, what are, in your words, like if you were to explain this for somebody, they've got some trails in their backyard, they're looking to build some shit. Like, what's that terminology? That, like, what are those things for those people?
I don't know exact terminology I would use for building any type of trail. I mean, building any type of track or trail system is trial and error. That's for sure. And it's all what you're capable of doing with your ride level, with your device level that you're riding. So you're building always according to that. So you're kind of stuck within a certain area because you can't go too extreme because your board won't climb that.
Right.
So you're always held to a certain limit. But a lot of it is just doing as much research online as what you can do, and then get out there and ride on anything you can, and you'll find the right angles that you really love, the right berms. Yeah. I built a huge trail system, thought it was awesome. Kaiser comes out, loves it, and immediately starts to critique it.
Yeah.
Which that's what I love about that dude. I mean, he sees shit from being a tattoo artist that I wouldn't see. So he sees that I need to have berms in almost all my corners, even if they're not productive berms, like they don't really shoot you perfectly. It's just having a berm that you can rail out of, and it adds so much. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people helped out in building those trails. I couldn't take all the credit for them, that's for sure.
Dude, Kaiser, the other cool thing about Kaiser is I've only ridden with him a handful of times. But when you do it, he's always like, even though he doesn't always do the hardcore stuff, he's always like, yo, why don't you jump off that thing?
Dude, he's like, great ideas.
And you're like, are you joking? Because I'm going to do that. And he's like, don't do that. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it.
He will elevate your level, whether you're ready for it or not. Just with him being, it's just like having like Ori over or something. Yeah. They will elevate your level, even if you're not capable of hitting it. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're like, shit, I can do that shit. I'm going to go do it. Right.
You just start thinking about it, and the next thing you know, you've got 2 parking curbs in a shop,
and you're buying them and passing them out to all your friends.
I was thinking you're going
to hit them when you go to their house. Like it's really secretly.
And you get a curb.
I only bought 3 curves because I thought Ori would hit them that first time he came over to my house. Yeah. So I watched Ori. He's got one of these videos online. Okay, and I know he's going to come over for our first group ride, and I'm thinking, Sweet. That dude put out a video. He hit 3 parking blocks right in line, jumped to the next one, 6 foot, jumped to the next one. I'm like, if I get 3 parking blocks, that's a guarantee that dude's going to love me and my trails.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wanted to do the 3 parking blocks. I ended up at 3 parking blocks. I'm like, shit, what am I going to do with these things now? So we brought him inside, and I got to tell you, that's been the funnest thing in the wintertime is learning how to slide those blocks.
Some so it's amazing. And I mean, the boxes and stuff you built were awesome too, and that's what I learned on and all that stuff. But
I'm over here sending him pictures of like some spine transfers and stuff that we could like do. Like just
the skateboarder. The skateboarder is sending me shit that I know is a skateboard shit. That's not normal shit that I should be able to hit. And I'm like, dude, I can't build a whole half pipe inside my garage. I've got to work in this shit.
But like, you know, those little spines and stuff. I'm like, I just want to practice like that. What would the equivalent of what would we call that a nose blunt then? Like, would we call that a blunt?
I don't.
When they get
I don't
the wheel
know
up
if
on
you can call it.
back
I don't
in?
know if you can call that a blunt or not.
A wheel stall. Like
I have no idea.
I don't know what we even call it. Trick pricks. Come on and give me a comment.
I think you have to have a Swisher Sweet to make it a blunt, but I don't know from there. I heard that somewhere. Right.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, you've got us all inspired because like we'll come out, we'll ride, we'll do like you know the group text will come out. Hey, we're doing Saturday night group ride like in the shop, and we know that just means all right. Well, we're doing curbs and we're doing slides.
Dude, I tried to think how many times we probably slide in a night on that parking block, and I got to think it's 50 to 100 times easily. I don't.
Probably more than that. Because like when we get moving in a rhythm, it's just 3 to 4 people back to back.
Yeah, and then there's guys that you're just like, you know what? I bet he has no interest in curb slides, or he has no interest in hitting his parking lot. And then all of a sudden, Taylor steps up and kills this shit. And then, yeah, every time I see him out there,
stock pint,
he's adding like an extra 6 inches to whatever his slide is, and it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adam landed his first one too.
Yeah, Adam drilled.
Yeah. So for anyone out there that has never tried like, try to slide, try to curb nudge, any of these like little basic tricks, like. You just got to kind of
come to Travis's house.
Come to Travis's house.
If you're not going to Derek or Nico's house on Sunday morning, come over to my place on Saturday night.
You can do it. I came in with no like skate knowledge whatsoever, and I'm on a stock pint, and they're like, "All right, check it out. Here's what you're gonna do. They're gonna do that. They're gonna do that. They're gonna do that," and then I'm sliding. So like, if I can do that.
There is that caveat though. Like if you're a loner and you've never tried this stuff and you don't have Coach Christian there,
Coach Travis,
Coach Caleb, Coach anybody, if you don't have somebody else sitting there kind of helping you out, I could see how that'd be a little difficult.
It's intimidating for sure. Yeah. Those things are so heavy, like, and it's just.
Well, we're all older now, right?
True.
I mean, how much do you want to get hurt?
I'm 35.
Yeah.
The pause.
You had to think about it. So much fact checking.
I don't remember how. Oh God, where is it,
dude? I will say though, like, maybe I don't remember skateboarding as well as I think I do, but like doing nose slides on a skateboard is fun and whatever. But I think it's because you have to push. Mm-hmm. You have to do the work to make the board go. But on a one wheel, you're just like
right onto it,
back into it. Yep.
And you need far less space because it goes so much faster and you're already in the position. Like on a skateboard when you're pushing and then you have to adjust your feet and then you do all the voodoo of getting your like feet on the bolts just right or whatever it is that you do, your setup. So you need extra runway, I think. But with the one wheel, how wide is that shop, that first part?
I think it's 48 by 48, somewhere close like that.
And so we probably used 30 feet of it.
Yeah.
So if you got 30 feet of concrete, I mean...
You can loop some nose slides for
in the
2
middle of that shit. you can accomplish some sweet shit.
But I mean, what, 2 hours just hitting nose slides and stuff?
I would say maybe a 12-pack of Busch Light in 2 hours. Dude, you can do some damage to a board.
And your liver.
Right.
Hence the damaged boards.
Oh, I can't wait to get my fix to go do it again. Shit, I don't know what I'm going to do for a weekend.
With all risk. Don't take this is not advice. Like, don't go try it. Like, your board can break.
And we all wear helmets. We all wear pads.
Right.
Yeah, helmets.
Ride safely,
helmets, pads.
Everybody.
I think it's, looking at like the trick industry, this like, Travis out here, like he's got us pushing to do these tricks. Like we're all doing it together. We're progressing each other by hanging out and doing the thing. I think it's interesting to see like, again, like if I snap a board, it's like a $50 repair, like $100 repair. And now I'm looking like, okay, my hall sensor goes bad on my board. I'm like, if I don't want to get in there and solder that myself, this is like, a couple $100 repair that I'm looking at. Like, that's 2 completes on a good day, you know? Like it's interesting to see that dynamic of like how much am I willing to test the board versus like what the hell's my budget?
Well, I'm really nervous now watching you guys break yours, like just using it the way I've been using it.
You should be, because we're hoping to use your board for the next couple of weeks while we fix ours.
Yeah, we need to use Christian's board.
But you find yourself, like I was like inspecting my board, like is anything screwed up on like, and like on the front where I keep nose sliding, my one bolt is like shaved off. I'm like, shit.
We remember Ori, he was dropping bolts out all over my shop. Just random bolts laying all over.
Like,
dude, I work on cars all day. I don't have extra bolts laying all over.
It might be stripped, and then he's like,
and he's still going to hit things.
Right.
Like, oh, that must have been another bolt for me. All right,
you can hear like all of his stuff rattling around.
Dude, Ori's crazy. When I was texting Derek back and forth talking about this issue on my board, and he's talking about how the same thing was happening to Ori at one point at an event in I think he said Tahoe or wherever they were at, and Ori was just going to keep on riding it.
I don't see that dude stopping for anything.
He's like, oh, well, okay, let's just send it. Like, all right, send it.
That dude is so much fun to ride with. Yeah,
for real.
Yeah, he definitely raises the stoke for sure.
He's got super good style too. So like whenever you see him do anything, you're like, I want to do it like that.
Oh yeah,
I want to look that cool.
Yeah, because if you want to watch somebody do it, that dude lays it out clean almost every time, except for the damage to my desk at the shop
and your brake cleaner.
Yeah.
rack.
So what I've realized is he's not going to hold back and just hit like half the rail that you build. He's going to want to extend the rail out another 2 feet beyond what it's there.
Yep.
And that's where my desk is. So the next morning, my daughter's my secretary. Baby girl's like, Dad, what the hell happened to the desk? Because all the filing cabinets are jammed all the way out. The trash just flipped over. The whole front board is just broken. You could tell where he slid underneath it. And I'm like...
He's Superman that just...
He's like, did I do that shit?
Like, that was like that, right?
Yeah, that was like that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, all that shit was all over the floor, too. That's how we keep it around here.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's why he's at where he's at.
Yeah, that's crazy. But... anyways, I don't know where I want to go from this.
So we talked about the trails, right?
Yeah, we talked about the trails a little bit.
Future with the trails, okay?
Yes, let's get into the future of the trails.
Okay, so I'm always like if I have a weekend I'm not doing anything, I start to go stir crazy. So that's why I always send you guys some type of question online, like, hey, what do you want to see next? What type of feature should I build? You know, do you see anything online you want to add out here? So I'm hoping to build this year, we're working on it right now, a giant bowl system over on the one side of the track area. This will be, I know I already have one side of it built. They're 20-foot walls, and it's just giant. So, of course, we don't need 20 foot to drop into this stuff. So some of that will get changed. But I think once I complete that area, there'll be so much more riding that we'll switch up a lot of our time from being focused behind the shop back there on that big mound with the bowls to out there that we'll probably want to ride the whole thing, in loops.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that. That'll probably be my goal right off the bat in springtime to get all that complete if possible. But we're talking dozers, tracos, stuff like that. But that's my goal, to get that done. I don't think I need to add a whole lot of trails anywhere else. It's just kind of make a big loop. And I think once that's complete, then I feel pretty good about inviting big groups. So I'm hoping to go from our smaller groups to maybe at least 100 people. So that would be my goal, final goal.
And we're going to have another event this year, right?
Yes, I'm hoping this year to get at least 2 to 3 events in.
Okay.
First event, just the same group we had last time, kind of, get the trails back to where they used to be, and with the new section that we're building. And then I'm hoping to get more interaction, because I know Nico is expressed wanting to come up and ride. So I'm hoping his group will come up. Maybe you put Cleveland's group down and kind of bring everybody into Central Ohio.
Yeah.
And, kill some trail riding.
That
sounds rad.
That'd be
so that would be the final fall ride. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Yeah.
We'll get the footage.
Yeah,
I think
the
once
waivers.
Once you get the
3 waivers for Ori, I think is what we made.
Yeah, 1 for each board.
Yeah.
But once you get that big bowl section that you're talking about, because I know obviously they don't know, but I know what you're talking about. So you've got the big trails over here, which can accommodate a lot more people than we put on them usually. The smaller trails, which does get congested if you don't pick a path, but it's so fun to go back and forth,
or just watch each other chasing each other. In those bowls
and like you're hitting the bowl this way, everybody's hitting the bowl this way, but then somebody breaks off and then starts going back. It can get it's a one pretty much one track. So everybody has to agree on a direction if you don't want to die. But there's so many like cool
so many features.
Well, yeah, like you're just like, well, I'm going this way, you're going this way. Well, maybe we'll crash up here. Like
right. They
like
all loop back into each other.
So cool.
So there's so many, let's say 100-foot sections of trails that loop around a tree that I'll give you one way to go. And if you're learning to ride, it's pretty easy, mellow. But the other section is going to have a 2-foot log jump in it.
Yeah, a bunch of roots or something.
You'll get the teeter-totter in one section. So I'll always give you as a beginner because I want to push this sport and I want to bring new people into it, especially trail riding because that's my passion. So my trails will always have that easy route. That you're a beginner, you can show up and you can ride with everybody and have a great time. But then that other section has got to be the section that pushes Ori or that, we all want to strive to hit that same jump. So, that's how I try to lay those trails
So for
out.
our millions of listeners who will just, we'll make sure we get the address out, ready to go. Next thing you know, Travis will have the, Travis will have the way.
I'll call you. Right.
Yeah, who the hell are these people that they all got one wheel? I mean, this is cool, but
it's a big farm, but I don't know how much room we got.
But it's not that big. Yeah.
Right. Let me get some shit set up first, and then we'll work on it.
There's we get a porta john.
Right. The lemonade stand.
What I thought was really interesting too is like, all right, people were riding through the trails, and I know I had like at your first event last year that we were at, I had to book it to film a wedding out in California. But when I left, like I felt like everyone was just hanging out trying the features, like the wood ramp that you had up there, the curbs, and then the like rail slide that you made. I felt like everyone was just like congregating there, just hanging out, as opposed to like hitting the trails.
Yeah, it was perfect. I think we had spent most of our time back on the trails. So the group kind of sectioned off into two groups. You found out who really loved the speed course, in the woods that didn't have as much technical stuff, like Kaiser and his boy and a couple other guys. They rode out there constantly, and those guys have speed. I mean, they have great speed. I broke my ribs out there, so I tried not to go out there. Christian ran into me
he almost
after
got you
I broke
pregnant.
my ribs.
I almost got him pregnant. He was like, watch out, it's a little bumpy up here.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and then next thing I know, I'm piled up on top of him.
Yeah, that's how my rib broke.
Yeah.
And my cherry.
How many How many injuries have you sustained on your board?
Oh shit, dude. My nickname is T-Rex, WRECKS. Literally, I've been riding before, talking to Kaiser as I went around a corner up by the college, dropped off a 14-foot ledge just right out in the asphalt in an intersection. I wasn't paying attention. My board just went right off the edge, drill my arm, my leg, and he's like, dude, you've got to pay attention. I'm like, shit, I thought I was, People put curves where you don't think they should be, and they're there.
Yeah, right.
What about your 22-mile-an-hour pants shredder?
Oh, dude, that's the first time I realized your board will stop moving at a certain speed. I was so torn up. I just wore shorts for the first time on the board. Shit.
The first and the last time.
Dude, I had so much blood out of every orifice of my body. When I stood up after that 22-mile-an-hour crash, so the 30 feet that I finally came to a stop, the first 10 feet was in the air, and I just remember like slow-mo, oh shit. And then the next 10 feet, my pads did my job, did the job, so I slid on the plastic, and it was working out beautiful. And then the last 10 feet is when the pads moved off my knees and elbows and rode up my body, and then the skin took over. So I remember standing up, just confused about what happened.
Pants around your ankles.
Right. So stood up, and I'm just like, shit, there was a car behind me. So I look behind me, and here's the neighbor, and as she goes by, doesn't stop. I'm looking at myself. I'm bleeding profusely all over. I look down at my shorts, and I can see my cell phone, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, there's a pocket that's supposed to be there holding that. What happened was I had ground the whole front of my shorts off, ground the outside of the pocket off, and now I'm looking at my bare cell phone just caught on a ledge of what's on the backside of my pocket. My cell phone is shredded, and I'm like, shit. So I look at her, and I had to look like a baby puppy that was lost, and I'm like, oh, shit. And she just holds me the thumbs up and just goes right by. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is what skating's about. And then I get on it, limp my way home, and I'm like,
get back on it.
I'm like, I got to go home and get cleaned up. And no, I was like, shit, I got to go to the neighbors and show show him some shit that I did, and he's like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" Yeah, I'm like, "Well, I'm bleeding. I could use a pint of blood if you got some."
And maybe something to cover up this bare ass cheek.
I was so tore up. I don't think I can breastfeed out of this side for a while, but so yeah, I just have all sorts of wrecks. A lot of them are my fault. Some of them aren't.
Dude, I saw you one time. I don't know. I think you might have been. I don't know where you dove out into the street.
I don't think so.
Oh my
I don't
God.
think I've seen Travis eat it other than like with rails and shit.
He's like looking back, trying to tell me to be careful of this like section coming up, and he's like, and he, like. In the middle of traffic, just.
I think I dropped into some type of drain system, dude.
He's like, watch out, it gets a little rough up here.
It just sends it.
Dude,
Yeah.
I looked back one time at Adam. I'm like, dude, you're nailing it. And then I just went right off and straight into the intersection again. So one time I was up near the high school and I'm by myself and I pull up to the stoplight or stop sign and I look at both cars in my view and I'm looking to make sure we both got visuals on each eyeballs, making sure that they see me. And they see me, so I let the one guy go through. There's another person after that person. So as soon as they go through, it's my turn, and I'm going to get it. So I just leaned into that board and sure enough overrode that board. Right in the middle of the intersection, that shit just pit vipered me underneath my legs, bit my shins, flipped me over, and now I'm laying flipped up the wrong way, laying in the intersection, and I'm staring at this geo tracker with this lady in it. This lady who was supposed to come straight over top of me turns on her turn signal and floors it the other direction. I mean, like she had a pot roast that was burning at home. She didn't stop. She didn't do shit. I thought I'd at least pulled up and said, dude, you're too old for this. She didn't make any comment. She literally went the whole wrong direction.
Do you need me to call someone?
Yeah, she didn't have time. She didn't have time to wait around. She's like, I don't have time for this.
The pot roast is burning.
Right.
Do you need me to call your mom?
There's going to be a helicopter, and I ain't got time, so I'm going to get home and get the roast out.
Oh, my God.
Damn.
There's a lot of shit that happens when I'm riding.
Watch out, it's a little rough up here.
All right. And like, how many miles are you got on your board with this?
I've got about 1,200 miles.
All right, so 1,200 miles on the board. We're finally at the
a lot of those
BMS
miles
repair.
I was on the board. Some of the miles I wasn't on the board.
Especially the
6
ghosting
miles of
miles,
ghosting.
The ghosting was added a couple miles. Yeah.
That board ghosted forever, man. I'm
Shit,
so
we've
glad
got
I
good
got
video.
it. That one video I got where
I'm like, whoa, and it's just drilling chairs. It did more damage than Ori drilling my desk. I mean, it's just knocking shit all over.
took off, had a mind of its own, and went behind the desk. Is ready to go hide out and go look through your files,
dude.
Dang.
But all right, well, hey, dude, at least you got the BMS on hand too. You got to save that other BMS though. Like,
yeah, that thing shorted out pretty good. I don't know. I couldn't get it to shut off. I couldn't get it to turn on, and so I'm hoping that this will solve all my problems. But with my luck, it'll probably be more.
but hey, bro, you got GT coming up, you know?
Oh, I do have a GT. Should be shipping out the 27th. I've still held that date, so I'm excited about that. The bad thing is I love that XR so much that I know the GT isn't the answer for everything I want. The GT is going to fill in a lot of great gaps. But, man, that XR is just, I call it meat and potato. There's not a lot of frilly shit, but that dude's solid every time I get on it, and that's the one I'm going to pick every time I want to slide down a parking block.
Right.
You know,
Well,
there's certain things.
I don't know. I think, like, initially, that's how everyone's going to be. Like, other than the people who've really got some bread behind it, like, that have a couple GTs at this point or whatever, that are tearing them apart, like, you know, Float Life guys or whoever these big guys are who can afford them. Like, I feel like everyone just like a new thing anywhere, like the first 6 to 12 months, eventually it's going to be more popular. It's going to be old. It's like, oh, sure, let's try some slides on this thing or something, you know? Mm-hmm. And it'll be really interesting to see what the limits of that board are at that point.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Once
But for Race of the Rail, I will be really intrigued this year for Race for the Rail, how many people are going to be. Like, if we're already talking about people going, 30 cap nosedive. I'll be really curious to see what that cap is with the GT.
I'm excited. Well, and it's like that one day was 22 or whatever. Mm-hmm. The fastest I've ever got mine was 20.9.
I think I'm right up there with 20.9.
Now I had I was trying to clean the mud off of my tire at one point, and so I did the thing where you like hold the foot pad and you just like wipe it in the grass, and of course, like painted my face.
Right.
Didn't really think it through. But now my board's like top ride says like 30 miles an hour. I was like,
which Christian posts everywhere online.
Yeah, I'm like, I did 30.
Right.
My best friend Travis knows I did 30. He was there.
Right.
He's on all the Reddit
One burnout tire on the street just shows that whole path.
Yeah. You should have seen it. It was wild.
I'm pretty sure that's a semi-track, though.
No, my best
No,
friend
I did
Travis.
it twice. That's
My best friend Travis. He saw me do it.
Yeah, he saw me do it.
You know that old man, my best friend Travis?
Yeah, your best friend Travis. He saw you
did.
do it.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson saw me do it too, because it was earlier tonight.
Oh man!
Before he handed me this
my
The Zoa, sponsored by Dwayne Johnson.
Or Christian saw himself in the last podcast and thought, I got to drop a couple pounds, so
dude,
no more beer drinking.
It has really sunk in.
I'm
how
trying to
fat
pull
I
this
looked.
angle off that just
Dude,
blocks
and
it.
you can tell. We'll go back through this, and you can see me like I don't know what to do with my body. And I'm like, how do I look the thinnest? Like, what
Right.
can I do?
I literally told him after the first episode, I'm like, the rule for me is you have to shoot me at an above angle. That's the rule.
Right.
Y'all
rule-
too
yeah.
fucking worried about being fat, man. I just
Well,
just send it, you know, like
that's the problem though, is I can't send it.
send it.
I'm losing miles on the pint, dude. I got.
It's always Christian with, man, if I just weighed 5 pounds less, I'd
Dude,
be able
I'm
to
telling
do
you,
this.
I'd be able to
less.
button my own
Dude,
pants.
I would have drilled that rail. I'd have drilled that shit.
I wouldn't need my best friend Travis to help me button up my pants.
Hey, that shit didn't happen more than twice.
Dude, last episode too, we got a lot of you know, funny offense hate with the beard, the too far gone for keeps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what did we get from that?
I forget who commented. I'll have to go back and look. Different people were like, oh, I feel offended because we were talking about the beards. Like, if you shaved it off, you were ugly underneath.
Oh.
And they're like,
didn't
oh, I
mean
feel
to
offended.
offend.
But then there were a bunch of people commenting back to be like, they were commenting who still looks attractive without the beard or whatever.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Right. Nobody in this room.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have offended anyone. I was just
well, it's like, you know, funny back and forth shit.
Oh, okay.
And
so fake offense?
yeah,
Or did
fake
I-
offense. You know, like,
well,
oh,
then fuck you. I'm not apologizing.
I commented back. I was like, maybe for you guys, I'm like, we look like a bunch of Gerber babies if we fucking shave our beards off. It's like,
What are you going to do? Are you going to use keeps? I see it's creeping back on you.
what's that?
Your hair. What's that?
Oh, that's rough, dude.
What's that? I can't believe it. Do it now while you can, while it matters.
No shit.
Yeah.
Before you look like me and Christian, which is now why I have his hat on.
Yeah, me neither.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Travis has got all the hair out of all of this.
I have Ori's hair off the couch around his ear right now just to let it flow. It's like a party in the back.
Oh man. Well, this would be probably a pretty good point to transition to.
Yeah, or the last podcast you ever watched.
Yeah, transition to our sponsor,
Right.
Keeps.
hair
It's
regrowth for men.
There are only two brands.
Right.
Lost product.
Oh, shit.
One of them, Keeps, is the generic one of the other thing. So I'm told. But you do look beautiful.
Whatever, man.
You
as long
don't
as it
need
makes
it.
the hair grow.
You're-
So- I'm still calling mine a widow's peak as long as I can. We
Dude.
digress.
It's all good.
I want to revisit Chris Hughes' question. Like, why don't people do tech tricks on bigger features? I'll let you take the floor.
Fuck if I know. I can't do tech tricks on
Shoot, it's
little
hard to do them
features.
on
I have no
small
idea.
features.
Yeah, I have no
Man.
idea. I imagine it has something to do with being 32 pounds.
Yeah.
And there's like 8 people still in the world who don't have flight fins.
Yeah. Right.
And those 8 people are like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, and even the people without fins, man, who like when I'm watching the videos of these guys like sending it, and like there's one guy we reposted, and he's, I mean, they're getting to the point where they're even sliding without the fins. Like they're figuring out ways to get up on stuff.
Those guys, if you're doing all these tricks without the fins, which if you see any of the float life guys, most of them don't have fins on.
right,
Those guys, dude, hats off to those guys. They're killing shit that
Well-
the fins allow me as a guy that can't really afford to break my arm. They allow me to even try to,
Right.
to learn what they're doing. And one day maybe I'll take and, do something different with my fins, get the narrow set, take my blocks back off of it.
Yeah.
But for right now, they're the one thing that allows me to even try to do what I see online and push it.
It is so impressive Sorry, this drink is it's really good. It's just gumming me up.
Shit, you got COVID. There will be no episode for the next few weeks.
Yeah. We're all quarantined. We will all quarantine right here.
We're all quarantined together and just do a bunch of episodes.
If you use that microphone and have a cold sore, that's not Christian's fault.
It ain't a cold sore either. What was I gonna say? Oh, people who do stuff without fins, obviously, it's so much more impressive. I mean, there's stuff you literally can't do. You know what I mean? Like
body burial and stuff like. There's certain things that fins aren't great for.
That you can't do with them on
just
there.
Just a few.
But then the inverse of that too is you can't, or at least, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that you can go up, like jump up. Like there's no ollie, to my knowledge. I mean, I'm sure somebody does it, but like.
There's definitely no ollie on it, so you can't really, like, without fins, you couldn't, like, free land.
Yeah.
Again, the guy I saw who did it, like, he found a way up into the curb and then over.
Which is awesome,
I mean? Like,
and I was doing nose slides on Adam's board the other day, and it's actually more fun without the fins, in my opinion, because it's, like, more like skateboarding.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, obviously, there's tons of people who ride without fins, and it's amazing. And those people, like that dude, it's unbelievable. Going off of something that high with no fins, or like, but not that guy, but the dude that went off that, it's like some sort of loading dock or something. I forget. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I saw it on the thing, but I was like, holy
floaty. Yeah.
It's like, holy crap, dude.
Well, and also I think it's interesting too to say, like, all right, when I look at that question, like, all right, tech tricks, there's not really any, like, at this point in the sport, in the trick style thing, and maybe I'm wrong. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really think there's any stipulations on what would be considered really good tricks. Like, maybe this is a question for like International Onewheel Association. Like, I know they have a lot in the racing, but to consider what would be a very complicated tech trick on a one wheel, right? Like doing a varial into like a crook or something. You know what I mean? Like there's so many.
I feel like there's tricks that don't have names yet.
Right. There's I can count on my hand people I know that are doing like some crazy, and even like some of the shit like Primos. Like people are doing these Primo slides on a one wheel, and like no skate background, but like a Primo is literally when they're flipping the board up on its side, like this, standing on the side.
Yeah, if we could get a demonstration.
Yep. There we go. We got the fingerboards here. Right. We got Primo, right, and then they're coming back up in it, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to learn that.
Yeah, but those are the guys
things that I just know I'm not capable of at this point in my life.
Travis will be out there with a rope ready to. He's like, I guess I can give it a shot.
So the rope thing for all you old cats out there who actually want to try to learn some of this shit. Right. You need a garage door inside your garage that has a track that goes across, and then you set your parking block underneath this track, and when no one else is watching, you put a rope up over top of that track, and that way when you come up to it, you can grab that rope, slide it, let go of it if it doesn't get,
squirrely.
Yeah, exactly. But if it gets squirrely, it's there for you to pop back off of. So in the beginning, it saves you multiple times, and it allows you to want to learn that trick. By the end of it, you've got to let that rope go. You got to get it off the trick
because it's hurting your form.
It's hurting your form more than anything else. But I'll tell you that's definitely the only reason I've learned some of my tricks is because of that, for sure. Yeah. So that's the secret.
Well, you had that rope out, and I mean, this is when I first was coming out to your trails. I'm still on the Pine at this point, and you have that. I mean, no wax whatsoever, but the little perforated. It's got the little holes in it and
angle iron.
The angle iron.
So the angle iron on a treated 2x6 or a 4x6 gives you a pretty sweet platform. That angle iron, stainless steel or whatever it's made out of, that works really well because we use that on the box rails that we had in the beginning. So it's definitely a good stepping stone to get up if you want a rail slide. And then straight up above that, off that tree limb, was a rope that we tied and left there. So if you wanted to try to learn it, and a couple times that saved us pretty good.
I think we should just put a parking block out there in its place.
I will tell you this year, I have extra parking blocks thanks to Ori. I'm going to put them out there at random spots. Well, because I bought them for him to do all this sweet shit.
Random
so
spots.
I think I'm going to put them out there at random spots, and downhill parking block slides I think are definitely key. I saw this guy online, and he was using what I would consider is like water main pipe. So it's plastic, probably at least 1/2 inch thick, and you can get them in 6 to 8 inch diameters. So you can actually bend a curve in it?
Yeah, we were talking about this because I got an old trampoline frame out there that I was like, well, if I just weld these pieces together here, put some wax on it, like you could do a nice radius.
Exactly, but instead you could actually slide this pipe over top of it. Right. That keeps the form of what you want. So I saw this guy, Chris, or whoever it is, who I think he's on the new Float Life video coming out. Anyways, he's doing it in the backyard, and he is popping over it, rail sliding on top of it, and this thing does flex and move a little bit. But man, I think that's definitely going to be on the trails soon. I'm going to have at least a 20-foot section of that.
That'd be amazing.
Which you're sure Ori will just drill the whole thing the first time and make it look like it's nothing. Yeah. That'd be that's sick. The future of rail sliding out there, I think, is some of that pipe.
That'd be real cool. Well, you could also too, like I was talking about this, like the same stuff I surfaced my my half pipe with, the HDPE, the stuff they make bang bumpers out of and all that. You can buy it in like 4x8 sheets with like a little 1/8 inch, just to like coat a 2x4 or coat a big thing, just like put it down, screw it in, like, and that would just slide like crazy.
Yeah, because you're always looking for features outside that aren't going to rot.
Yeah,
you don't want to do all that work and have that shit rot out from underneath you. So, yeah.
What about putting the pipe down that very first 6 foot like drop on that berm?
Yeah, I think you're going to find him. I'm not going to give you all my secrets, but you're going to find him in random shit. That's just going to be perfect that you just down that hill and slide it out.
It's going to be a good summer ride.
We'll see. I got a lot of stuff that I want to do out there.
Man, we had so many town rides, which I still love. I can't wait till it's like warm enough, dry enough to do that. But I am riding those trails this summer, dude.
The town rides, there's a place for that. Like during the evenings, during the week, we love town rides. 8 o'clock at night, it gets dark. Hook up with your buddies, town ride. That's perfect shit. But I think, man, my passion has got to be trails.
Man, the trails, so good.
Especially with the gravel pit, there's so much to do out there. It's, man.
That's going to be a good summer for sure.
Right.
All right, next question up I got up here. There's a couple more that are just like feedback, I think. We were just talking about like all things Onewheel. Love what you guys are doing. Thank you, Wayne.
I did that.
Oh, nice.
Nice. You went down the stairs.
Nice.
Bro, this guy's
That's
a mini...
your first stair. No, you did it before up at AU. That's a nice little ride, dude.
I did do that.
Push through the pushback, the fine art that it is. Yeah, we got that. In-depth details on board custom shaping you use. What do you guys use? I don't know.
Good question.
I don't get custom shaping.
I don't.
You got a stock features.
It's what is it? Skyline?
Skyline, yeah, like the equivalent of Delirium on the XR.
Right.
I ride a lot of Delirium, but I do have a couple of custom rides that I have for different stuff. So let me. I'm just gonna pull them up. See.
Can you do it without the? I don't know if you can do it without connecting to the app or not.
We'll find out.
I know for me, I've done a couple customs where I've just like dragged the slider all the way, like all the way loose and then all the way aggressive, or then like all the way tight and all the way aggressive to see what I'd really feel is different. But most of the time, I think I just find myself riding in Mission, and I think the reason I do is because if I'm ever riding another person's board, like I don't really, like I personally don't care for the. It's like my drum, like if I'm playing drums and something's like 3 centimeters different spot than what I'm used to, I just don't like.
Throws your game off a little bit.
Yeah, it throws it off just a little bit. So I'm like, if I just ride Mission all the time and get used to that form, that custom riding, then
adjust your level to that to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, then I can pretty much just hop on anyone's board and just kind of do the same stuff. So I know Tire
like
has a lot
for lots of things. That's for sure. Mission for parking block slides, ramps, anything like that. Seems to allow you to have that nose up quite a bit more, a little bit less aggressive braking.
Yeah.
So I think Nico turned me on to that. That seems to be great in the shop when we're doing, our rides. I do like Delirium though for out on the streets.
Yeah.
Or even in trails.
Those are my two favorite stock modes, specifically Delirium. I just think like their responsiveness when you're out on the street.
It's definitely noticeable. Like when you're in Delirium, like this, how quick you can, especially if you're trying to get speeds past 15. Like I feel like I'm just in Delirium, ready to be a little more ready on it.
For sure. And I have a custom ride setting. I couldn't pull them up. You're right, but I have a custom ride setting that's like a little bit elevated, and then really aggressive, and then whatever the not carvy thing is.
Yeah.
For like long haul, like just kind of, I like it better than the actual elevated mode because the tail's not as low,
right?
But it feels really similar. So It's not particularly hilly around here.
Sure.
But I thought I would like riding that on the trails, but I don't because the tail drags when you go down. Like if it's like doesn't respond as fast as Delirium does or something.
Me not having stock tires too, like I feel like that's the real thing that's going to make a difference in your riding experience. Like
I think it makes the biggest difference. Yeah.
Like,
I still have the Vega on mine, although it's like squirting.
I just put the Vega back on mine. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a Vega from Ori to swap out with, and now that I'm going to have to pull my board apart anyway, so I might as well get to it.
Well, and you know what? I can agree with everybody who says get that Vega off there. There's so much better tires out there.
Yeah.
I get it. I put on a Whisper, and that thing was amazing the first time I rode on
dude.
it. My board was a whole night and day different board. But as soon as I went to rail slide, that shit was so tacky that not only did it stop me from sliding, it stopped Christian from sliding after me. There was
and it
so
coated
much
the bottom of my board with like black rubber.
Dude, I haven't laid rubber like that since I was in high school. You know, I mean, there was a lot of rubber. So that was a lie too. But there's a lot of rubber all over. We can edit a lot of this shit out, right?
No, none of it.
It's keeps, baby. It's keeps.
So there's a lot of rubber all over. Yes.
That really tripped me out.
So I had to switch back to the Vega because that Whisper was just too much.
Yeah.
It was just too tacky.
Yeah.
And you could only slide a foot or two, and then it would just bind you up, and you'd flip off. And
I feel like that's my thing right now. You guys are watching me do it, and when I get on there, because I have the T2, but the Hoosier T2 with the tread,
you can see it. It's just like the Whisper.
and I
you can
see it. Same. It's the same compound as your Whisper, but when I hit that thing, and then you guys hear it too, where it's like that. Yeah, like you hear those treads rolling across,
and your board is like bouncing while you're doing this.
I've started to figure it out, but I'm basically on the nose at that point. Like my tire's not touching.
Because with the Vega, you can like lock it right in.
Right, lock in and just go.
And
no, it won't grab at all. It's perfect for sliding.
I mean, we wax up the side a little bit, but it's not enough. You know,
Right.
I mean, I have never ridden a treaded tire until I rode yours. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get
It's a
one.
sweet tire.
But
I'm so
really
stoked when we're ready to get into like
back to the
trail
trails,
riding
man.
summer to have that thing on. That's
I have to say though, I love the Vega for my long, just quiet rides. Like it's a quiet tire. It's easy to go without getting a lot of wobble from the. I mean, I totally get the carviness of all the other tires, which is awesome. And on the trails, I would totally want something like that. But for whatever reason, I love the Vega. I'm probably like the only one in the sport.
Get 600 miles on a Vega, you've worn off the edges. It becomes
it's
a
definitely
better tire.
rounded,
There's people that love the Vega for sure.
But I just like because I ride at night a lot when my kids go to bed, and I like just not having to worry. Like it doesn't almost never gets squirrely. You know, like whatever. It's
predictable.
Yeah, it's predictable.
Very predictable.
Well, now, dude, you're going to be trying some sex changes and body varials after watching me land a couple of those the other night. Take your fins off and just.
I do want to do.
I got video of that shit.
I do want to do a shove it. That looks sweet.
Those are kind of the little cool things, and I think it'll be interesting to see how people like categorize that into tricks. You know what I mean?
I landed my first like 50 frontside nose slides.
Yeah.
Or is it backside?
I don't know.
Frontside.
We're not getting the frontside backside conversation.
No, frontside.
Not getting into
I'll slip my
hard
words.
way.
Comments will fucking roast me.
I'll bleed out over here. I will not listen to this.
Bleed out more than the shorts.
It's so painful listening to you two argue about nose slide, tail slide, front side, back side. You're like, what if my front foot is actually my other left front foot? Shit, we don't even know which way you're riding.
Yeah.
Can't keep track.
Let me know if you ride with your front foot forward.
This is why I don't have a loaded gun.
All right. Another question that came in is, out of all these younger riders, who do you think will be the next big thing? It's a really, really complicated question because there's not even like, I can count on my hand people I can think like I'm going to say it like Floaty McFly, Brendan. I forget his last name. I mean, he's the dude that's out there just, he's fucking shredding.
Yeah, I think there's like a good group of well-known riders that are just competing for the top honors.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably hundreds of people who are amazing who don't have YouTube channels or don't have access to whatever. Like, I mean, maybe not hundreds, but I'm sure there's some kid out there doing something insane.
Right.
But just not getting any time on air.
For races, there's very qualitative data, but like for tricks and stuff, I mean, there's some like smaller competitions that like shops might be putting on, but there's no real like qualitative data to, you know, like an X Games competition where you're going in like a 9-club winner that is skating. There's not a lot of that for trick people. So it's hard to say because people have so much style in a different way. Like one trick wheel doing primo slides or like all the crazy like varials and flips. Some of these other guys,
And I think
it's real hard to say.
I think there's another. Well, this isn't a problem. I almost said problem, but there's a thing with one wheeling where, as a one wheeler, you watch somebody do something and you're like, that was dope. That is hard. That is so cool. But somebody who like skateboards and watches somebody do like kickflip El Toro or something, and you're like, holy shit. Then you watch a one wheel rider do like a
half of that technical, half of that. Yeah. And you're just like, holy shit.
Like as a one wheel rider, you're like, that's amazing. But as somebody watching from this, you're like, you're riding a robot, and I can't tell that that's hard.
Right.
Like you just spun around in a circle, and for us, we're like, oh no, you eat shit every time you try to do that. But then they're like, well, it just kind of looks like it's supposed to do that.
Right. Well, it's so hard too, because like again, like a 30-pound beast that you're trying to flip around and jump or do these things with. I mean, you can't accurately say like what was hard, what wasn't, because like I'll see people try stuff and I'm like, I kind of want to go out there and try that on my one wheel right now. Like there's not again, other than people who are like sending a car, like Send It Sam, like who has literally gone and jumped a car. Like, so until you're at that extent, it's hard to separate who's doing the stuff that like I couldn't actually go out and try with a little bit of skate background.
Yeah. And like you, like just in the shop the other day when you were trying to help me learn how to just jump with the fin, and you're like jumping like knee high, and I'm jumping like an inch and like crapping my diapers every time I do it. Like, you know, like that, there's two different, like it's subjective what's difficult, I think. Whereas there are other sports where I think it's more objective.
Right.
What the difficulty curve is.
I do think it'll evolve. I mean, it's gonna find its way. There's gonna be tricks that come across. Like there's gonna be a time, but I just think it's too underground right now to say. So. Yeah,
I also don't know because it's not really my wheelhouse.
I'm looking forward to this year with all the different, ride fests and all this different stuff coming out.
Yeah.
That I think you're going to see a lot of trick competitions that are just going to really push it. Now, I don't know how crazy you'll get with tricks, but I think you're going to see a huge majority of people pushing to that section. And I think you'll find a good split at every event that will be trick riding versus trail riding. And you'll find people that just aren't comfortable at 30 miles an hour, but that are super comfortable with doing this super technical rail slide,
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that. I just think that there's such a difference between the weight of the board versus the weight of a skateboard. I think there's two different sports in that aspect that you give credit where credit's due. I mean, there's sick stuff with a trail with a skateboard that you're just like, I wish I could do that shit.
Right.
With that, you'll never be able to do on a one wheel because it's 37 pounds.
Right.
So
there's such a translation that's still, I think, a gray area between like what's a snowboarding trick, what's a skateboarding trick, what's a one wheel trick.
I think also there are so many people who have set foot on a skateboard, whether they ever learned or not. You've been on a skateboard and you wouldn't consider yourself to have ever learned anything on a skateboard. Nothing. But you've stood on one and probably fallen off of one at some point in your life. And so you know that it's hard. That it's like there's something in your memory bank to say, oh, this person doing this crazy flip trick, I don't know what it's called. I don't know how hard it is, but I know it's fucking hard because I can't even ride one.
Yeah.
Whereas
the barrier to entry.
Fewer people have ridden a one wheel. So when you watch it from a distance, you're like, was that hard? Like you doing a 180 and telling me to try a 180. I'm like, I could do a 180 on a skateboard all day, even now, having not ridden one all year. But to do a 180 on my one wheel, I'm like, no, fuck that.
You're really going to have to get somebody on the show that's phenomenal tricks, right? I mean, because honestly,
sure.
Anybody listening to this knows about what level we're at with tricks, right? Well, we tried a nose slide, right?
Yeah.
We tried our first whatever, this or that.
Yeah.
So you're really going to have to bring in that guy who's already at competition level,
right?
And then he's going to open up a whole new format of what this board's capable of. Where for us, everything is so new and fresh. It's like, man, we're killing it until we get into a big pond, and then we're like, shit, we're the small fish again.
Yeah, we feel like we're climbing these mountains and but we're doing our personal like records, personal best or whatever, like almost weekly. Like we're like, I did a new thing,
new shit.
Like it'll come down to again qualitative, that the longest slide or the style, right? How did he like? You're gonna have to have style's always gonna have a factor in like how did you land it? Was it style? Was it sketchy landing? Was he right on the tip? Like those little things.
Did he have fins or not have fins? Like all that stuff that just I don't know.
It'd be interesting. Good questions. I mean, by all means. Last thing I had too, I did from the homie, your friend Chris, my man, the Send It dude. We got stickers of this guy. I just sent him out. This man is fucking insane. Yeah. He said, do some community shout outs. You want to hear about the stoke that you guys like. What stokes us the most? I'll let you figure out some of the people that you really think is rider wise. But dude, your friend Chris on Instagram, go follow him. He's amazing.
Yeah.
This homie is strapping a fucking lawn chair to a Onewheel, and he just at the Wheel Fun Stuff opening, the grand opening, he sent
I watched that shit
and went over 12 boards and just.
Dude, when is that the one that you posted where he ate shit like in the
Yeah.
Dude, I thought the man was gonna die.
He's done that
and then
so
he went back
many
and
times.
did it. Like, dude,
This man is insane.
Yeah.
I have not had the chance this summer for sure. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get a lawn chair. I'm gonna strap it to my Onewheel. I'm gonna see what happens. But
I'm excited for that day.
I think it's gonna be interesting. I've talked with Chris about having him on the show. I think it'd be really funny to do like do you remember like Jackass, the first movie? And like when there's like all the smoke coming through and they're in the shopping cart.
Yeah.
I want to have him like rolling through on a Onewheel when that smoke, we'll get like slow-mo and the smoke coming through. We'll have your friend Chris coming through like on the Onewheel.
That would be awesome.
But with our budget, it'll be a lot of smoking, just clouding shit up because we can't afford a lot for the show yet.
I also want him to have a headlamp on when he does it, and I want it to be like kind of dusk.
Yeah, perfect.
Dude.
But Chris is a great guy. I mean, all of the feedback I've got from everybody, like it's been overwhelming and it's been humbling to see how many people just want to listen to this crew from cornfield ridden Ashland, Ohio, where there's Amish all over the place. Yeah, we're out here doing some Onewheel talk, like just following the scene, hanging out. It's humbling to see how many people have just have hopped on board.
And my mind is just continuously blown. Like Caleb's always like, he's like the master of playing it cool. And I'm texting him. I'm like, the float life did what? Or like, so-and-so gave us a shout out. Are you crazy? Like, are you kidding me? And I'm freaking out. He's like, yeah, it's really cool, dude. Like, that's awesome. And I'm like screaming at my desk. Like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I can't believe they said that.
Which is why we moved Taylor to the background because that dude gets so excited.
His mic's not on, but he doesn't know. No.
That's what I was thinking about you, okay?
He's playing a video game with an unplugged controller.
Taylor's right, man. That stuff is so dope that those guys give shout outs or even will watch anything. I mean, so that's sweet.
It's a crazy connected community, you know? Like
the future is, man, it could be huge.
It's real cool. I mean, we're thinking about sponsoring some events this year. Like, you know, like granted things are like, we're getting some merch put together, some different things to kind of give back to the community, doing the media, the podcast. And
once we fix our boards and spend a lot of loot that way, we will sponsor shit. For right now, you get this little board.
Yeah. This
unlimited power.
Consider yourself sponsored.
Right.
Got some board sponsors and all that, but I would say that's a pretty good note to end on. We're incredibly grateful and humbled to end it off. Trav, it's been great having you out.
Hey, thanks guys. I appreciate this shit.
T-Rex. Yeah, I think he's my local hero. That's not a joke. I'm not.
He's
my best friend.
I appreciate that, guys.
No, but seriously, like there are a few people. There are like a handful of people in this local community who are just
on it,
stoking the flame, man. Yeah. And he's one of them. And
I
appreciate so much what you do for the community around here and the trails and I've never met a person who Onewheels who's also a dick. You know? Right. And you're pretty close, but not. No, but seriously, man.
Let's roll credits on this chick flick right here.
But I don't think, before he starts bleeding again. But I think I would not be on this podcast if that man right there didn't.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Keep the stoke raised, man. I mean, we're super excited to have you. We're going to have Trav back on and just talk during one of the experiences, have Ori come back on. We'll just, send us your clips, send us different stuff for us to, if you want to hear us talk shit about it, then, send it in our way. We'll record it. So.
we will talk some shit.
It's winter in Ohio. We have nothing.
A bunch of fucking Ohioans with bare fields around us and nothing to do.
We got the rock outside and we are snot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne's been out there on my pipe.
He can't fit through the door, so he's just waiting there to give us a ride home. He's all jacked up on Zoa.
I think that at this point we should probably cue the outro track.
We should have ended this shit hours ago.
Should have never started.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Pushback.
Thanks, guys.
A very special guest. T-Rex. Dr. Frost. Ghosty Socks.
It's me.
Relic Ace.
Oh, God.
Is that how you say that? Relic Ace.
Relic Ace. Yeah.
It looked like
that's
a bunch
all the
of
Discord
random
name for
letters.
everyone listening. That's the Discord.
Right, that's our state names.
We got a Pushback Discord launching as well. I got group rides for all the people across all all 50 states, international, all that good stuff. So we look forward to hanging out with you guys on the next episode.
Bye.